I'm David.
I'm Jose.
And we're old school wrestling fans, and we're going to discuss the 2023 biopic film, The Iron Claw, which is a bare bones biopic, I would label it, describe it, about the Von Erich wrestling family out of Dallas, Texas. Now, what I enjoyed about this film, the one thing that I liked about this film is the few that was casted. First off, I do movie reviews, and what I call is the battery review, positives and negatives. And I'm going to start with what I call the positives of the movie. And a lot of people want to slam the casting of this film more over than the whole movie itself. The positives I think, are a few of the casting. Fritz Von Erich, who was portrayed by Halt McCallany. Some of these names I'm not sure how to pronounce. Halt McCallany was Fritz Von Erich. He was perfectly casted.
He did
a great Fritz Von Erich. He did great.
He was the father.
The other major positive was Harris Dickinson, David Von Erich. Yeah. He was spot on.
Yeah.
He did a perfect David Von Erich.
Yes.
The others.
I agree with that.
Now the starring role is Zac Efron, Kevin Von Erich. There's Jeremy Allen White, Kerry Von Erich. The big shock for me when I first saw the film, I did not notice, because I didn't go recast. Most everybody's looking at the wrestler who was casted for the wrestlers is the mother Doris.
Yeah.
It was
I don't know her name either.
Maura Tierney, if I'm pronouncing that right. I know her more as from the NBC hit drama ER, Dr.
Yes.
Abby Lockhart. I did not know she was casted for this.
Yeah,
she was in the background as they open the film, she's pregnant with one maybe Mike. She was pregnant with one of the sons. As Fritz Von Erich they had started the film with Fritz Von Erich in his career, and I think Kerry and Kevin were already born. I know fans are going to correct me on what we're getting correct and correct and incorrect. But the one background, the big star of this film, not Zac Efron, was Maura Tierney. I know. Wow, that's Abby from ER.
Yeah, I recognize.
I didn't expect her to be in this. Everybody else. Now, if I did a quick research, Zac Efron was from the high school movie musicals, and that's where he got his starring name from.
Yeah.
Not one person among the cast is a starring name whatsoever. The positive. Okay, let's go on the casting. It says David Von Erich was perfectly cast. Fritz Von Erich was perfectly cast. It was an independent filmmaker. He attempted a biopic on the Von Erich family. And it was Chavo Guerrero Jr. of the legendary Guerrero wrestling family. And he trained them all. I think he did a pretty fair job. The film was trying to do barely enough of their
lifestyle. They left a lot out.
What did you see as the positives?
Well, I like the cast, who they put. But when we get to the negative, I'll tell you the negative. But the positive is I like who played, the father role.
Fritz Von Erich.
Yeah, perfect. I think
he did it. Alt McCallany.
If you watch back in the day, like I used to watch back in NWA, I call it, and WCW when it was called that. And when I used to watch it, he was spot on. You can damn, that's the father 100%. Like, you knew who the father was automatically in that movie. Like, once you see it, if you know about old time wrestling, and you can find it on YouTube anywhere, and you just watch the old tapes of the wrestling and the way he talked. To me, he was perfect for that role. Like, they picked the perfect guy, as his father. The way he acted, and everybody else. Some of them, when I get to the negative, I was disappointed in it. But other than that, it was an okay movie. I think they left a lot out. I understand why.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a doubt.
But some of the stuff, I understand why they left it out. Because the movie's got to be short sometimes. It's just, they left a lot out. That's to me. That's my negative about it. But it was okay. And when I get to my negative, you'll be like, okay, I understand why. I like some stuff I didn't like about it.
Harris Dickinson as David Von Erich.
Yeah.
Wow, was he a standout? Even more than Father the Fritz. Even more than Hulk McCauley and Fritz. David Von Erich, Harris Dickinson did the perfect portrayal. Incredible, incredible.
I like that when some parts in the movie that, and I tell you my negatives is good. Really.
I can understand.
Who played the mother?
When I listened to Jim Cornette's podcast, and the only thing he really mentioned that was positive was they created a sportatorium building and the ring properly, and everything else. He said that he did not meet David Von Erich, so he can't. He said not one person looked like.
What are you supposed to look like?
Because professional wrestlers, no, but it's even worse than often imitated, never duplicated.
You can't never do. It's like you can't really find somebody who looks like the person.
How can a movie portray somebody that already exists, and you need to find an actor to look like them, let alone act like them. Well, and they get the people to.
They couldn't act like them if they.
How do you do if they're passed on?
What it could have done is look at the old tapes, because their tapes are.
That's what they probably did.
They probably look at old tapes.
Because we're going to talk about that next negative.
And then they could have see how they portray themselves in the ring. You know what I'm trying to say? And then they could watch the old tapes and then do everything they did. That's the only thing I can fault them for that. But other than that, looking at them 100%, you ain't gonna not find a good actor who built like Kevin Von Erich, a good actor skinny enough like David Von Erich. You ain't gonna find these people nowhere who was a good actor. So they had to, they pick who they had to pick, because none of them look like the family to me. Besides, I ain't gonna lie, the Fabulous Freebirds, the Terry Gordy guy looked like Terry Gordy. And then
Kevin Von Erich
played Michael Hayes looked like Michael Hayes.
Kevin Von Erich said nobody in production approached him or called him about the filming, but apparently his children, I don't know if it was his daughter or just the boys, they went to the movie sets and they got the clothing right.
Okay.
But they never contacted Kevin. What? We're gonna get to that. But it's like they went out of their way to make sure they who they picked for the Freebirds. Ric Flair, the person who portrayed Ric Flair, was if any tiny attempts to do the woo correct, the person went a little overboard, and he just didn't. As Jim Cornette said, it's an infamous phrase, often imitated, never duplicated.
Okay,
many people can attempt to do it. It can't be done unless that person has created that role. That's very difficult, because most people that do a biopic about a person who, whether they're in business, whether it's a rock star, they're a movie star, or a true event, they will meet up with this person or their family members. Yeah. And try to get it correct and get it right. They didn't meet up with Kevin. Said they never contacted him.
Yeah,
that was
that's why I understand how the movie got approved without talking.
Oh, many movies do that.
I know, but I'm just thinking, if you want the movie to come out, it could have been 100% if they really would have talked to him. Let me ask you about this and that, and then maybe like, okay, I can tell you what really happened, and this way you're leaving out the movie, and then make it 100% better. It could have been 100% better if they would have talked to him.
So I think we both agree that it was Harris Dickinson as David, Hulk McCauley as Fritz. Yeah. The surprise I did not expect to see Mira Tierney as Doris. I didn't even look up the cast. Everybody looked up the cast of the wrestlers, and anybody would know who's Mira Tierney as Doris. And so I automatically recognized her. Wow, they got Abby from ER.
Once I saw her, I knew who she was.
Everybody would know who if they know.
And I recognized what's the name? We was just talking about him, who was a high school. I forget his name.
Zac Efron.
Yeah, Zac Efron. I recognize him.
Most of this generation of the past 20 years would remember the High School Musical movie.
Yeah.
and he was
That's
in that
why
film.
I recognize him. He also played other movies too, but I recognize
But
him.
it
But
was
that's only two
an
people I recognize.
it was an attempt at a biopic. Most biopics are definitely longer than 2 hours.
Yeah, it should have
This
been a little longer.
this thing is what
Could have been a part two.
barely about an hour and a half. Barely.
Yeah, could have been a part two to that movie.
So now we're going to discuss our going on to the negatives. Now we'll discuss the negatives of this film, and there's a large list, as most people would attack the casting. Jose, what did you find wrong with it?
The Ric Flair, the guy who played Ric Flair. I'm sorry, like they could have got somebody.
I think it's like anybody can attempt the woo part to look like him, but as a Jim Cornette, as many people often imitated, never duplicated.
Not only the woo part. I mean, like.
It's an overboard attempt.
You know who Ric Flair is. If Ric Flair would have seen this, he would have threw up. I'm sorry. He would have actually threw up because this guy did not do Ric Flair justice at all. I'm just, that got me disappointed in the Ric Flair. And then I was disappointed. Like, they showed a couple of wrestling matches, and I think they should have showed more of the matches of them wrestling each other that I remember seeing. Especially when they won the belts. It's like, you see them winning these belts, but you don't really see them winning any belts. The matches are like...
Oh, that was an incorrection on that one, because I looked at Kevin Von Erich of the Texas Heavyweight title.
Yeah.
And he won it much later.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Besides
many later, so the Von Erich era was already practically over with, and Kevin won the Texas title.
But the movie could have been better if you watched The Wrestler. If you remember the movie Wrestler? The wrestler with what's his name?
Mickey Rourke. The Mickey Rourke version, because there's the 1974 version.
I know,
but there's a Mickey Rourke version, the modern version.
I like that one because they show you actually wrestling. You see a match going on. But they could have done in this movie. They should have added a little. Maybe they didn't want to put it in too long, but they should at least show you them wrestling. And then they're like they cut in and out of parts of what happened to them in their lives, like when they committed suicide. It's like, okay, I know what drove him to suicide because I read about it, and it's like they left this out in the movie, and it's like they should have put that in the movie, and it's like, okay, it just went real fast, and then they show you the funeral, but they don't really show you the grief that everybody else went through, other people, like when I found out when these people passed away, it kind of affected my life because I actually cared about them. They make you care about them. But in this movie, it didn't feel like it just kept on like rushing. They kept on rushing the movie. And that was my kind of, not my thing. And then at the end, I didn't like the fact that they did everything with the WWF, back then, of course, they called it WWE. They should have put the Hall of Fame thing into it.
Yeah,
they should have put the Hall of Fame in the movie.
What did you look at the dream sequence of the brothers meeting in heaven?
Well, that's kind of it can happen if you really care about your family. It kind of hit me in my heart when he had that dream sequence. It's kind of his closure in a way that he got to see his brothers one more time. Because when you lose somebody, and I lost a lot in my life, I'll talk about that in another video. But when you lose somebody, it's real hard, especially family, because he's the oldest. He must have been the oldest, but he really lost another brother who they say he was the oldest. But he's the oldest, and when you're the oldest, it's usually you're supposed to go first before everybody else, and everybody around him, or there's dying and bad things kept on happening. That's got to be hard on him, like the hardest thing. And so that kind of made me. I ain't gonna lie, I'm a man, and if you're a man, you can cry. You're a real man, because it made me sad, and I cried a little bit. And other than that, I was just upset about the Hall of Fame. They should at least show the Hall of Fame thing. They could have just made it short enough that you see him walking to get on the stage, and then put the other guy in there, the guy who was playing him. But other than that, it could have been better. So they left a lot of stuff out. That's my negatives.
Oh, do I have a long list
of
things? Well, let alone being it should have been a lot longer, because how many celebrities and biopics have been 2 to 2+ hours? The key thing really had nothing to do with what they put in the movie. Is what the hell they even showed the movie in the first place. The trailer.
Yeah.
Every wrestling fan let me quote it. Let me put in quotes. Old school wrestling fan. Now, there's a reason why I'm saying this. Old school wrestling fans. We all waited for the trailer. Oh, they're making a movie about the Von Erichs. It never aired on network television. It was put on the internet.
Yeah.
Now this movie is released in 2023. The problem is who knew about the Von Erich family? Terry Von Erich was in the WWF 1990. About that in that time, I'm not sure how many months or how long he is in it. Who knew about the Von Erich wrestling family? You're talking into the 21st century. Nobody now. The WWF became WWE 2002. And when it was released 2023, they didn't put this trailer out into network television or NBC, ABC, CBS, or any. They didn't put it on Why didn't they put this onto Netflix rather than the movie theater? Nobody but us old school fans would have known about the Von Erichs at all.
Yeah, that's true.
We waited for this trailer, but nobody knew about the Von Erich family. Nobody of the past 20 years ever heard of that name. Only we would know about it, and the tragedy that befall all the kids.
Well, Behind the Ring talks about it a little bit, so you can watch that on that episode. Behind. I think I'm saying it right. Am I saying it right? Beyond the Ring.
Yeah, beyond the mat.
Beyond the mat. Yeah, okay.
Hey, I only seen that one time.
They got some good stuff.
I hear often the wrestlers in interviews talk about Beyond the Mat repeatedly. Now beyond I need the exact time of this film. It's not like hour 30, something like that. There is so much content they could have put into this film. The biggest missing content, they had to bring up about Kerry Von Erich's missing foot, his motorcycle crash. Now in the trailer, they show him riding a motorcycle. Why? Okay, this would have been graphic. Yes, they didn't bother to show it. If you're going to show him riding a motorcycle, but the next thing you show, he's in the kitchen trying to get around with missing a foot. Why didn't you show the accident? You're missing an element, people. Another thing, when they went over about Kerry Von Erich defeating Ric Flair, May 1984. Now, there's a scene where Fritz is talking to Kerry and Kevin, who's going to get a shot at the NWA title. The summary of this film is Fritz always wanted to get this NWA World title. And he himself had never got a chance to it. It was a committee of all the National Wrestling Alliance promoters. They would get together once a year who decides who would win the title. Yeah. Now, since he was a member of it, he was hoping one of his sons. His son's going after NWA World Champion Harley Race. And the win never occurred. Then Ric Flair gets the title in 1983. Okay, we got to go after Ric Flair. Then they lose David Von Erich, who was, even most wrestlers, it's really a seesaw of whether David Von Erich, they were grooming him for to win the world title from Harley Race, or Ric Flair. David Von Erich definitely was the wrestler. He wanted to be the wrestler. All the other Von Erich boys wanted to go into sports, high school sports, go off to college. David Von Erich definitely was the wrestler. Everybody knew it. Yeah. And he died suddenly in February 1984. Now, Fritz has got, the feel sorry, the sympathy situation that the NWA said, Ric Flair is going to drop the title at the big show in Texas Stadium, and he has we're going to either decide Kerry, Kevin, one of you are going to face Flair for the title at Texas Stadium. You can decide it, or we're going to flip a coin. Actually, this moment really happened because they have a documentary video about the Von Erich family, and they show the whole family together, but he says, it's Kevin or Kerry, and Kerry said, I'm going to take it. I don't remember a coin toss. I remember Fritz deciding, Kerry, you're going to face Flair. I don't remember coin tosses. I remember that in the actual Von Erich documentary video. And now one of the thing they could have added is the boys, when Kerry pins Flair to win the title, you see them they're watching. But what they should have done, because when he won the title, all of a sudden the camera is now on is Kevin and Mike and everybody, the family's jumping all over Kerry. He's won the title. Yeah. They come in the ring. They could have had the boys watching from a distance in a hallway at Texas Stadium, with a distant video, not on because of the copyright issue, not have watched the movie show Kerry pin flare. Yeah. But the boys in the stadium waiting for it, watching for the film. 1, 2, yes! They run out and they jump all over as the video shows. They're jumping all over their brother. They could have shown the boys in a tunnel or some waiting room watching on a camera, waiting for that pinfall. There's a couple big things missed.
Yeah, that was.
With the Freebirds, they picked the actors. They picked them to look like the Freebirds. Like Chavo Guerrero Jr. was the original Sheik, and he only was there for one second. Fritz von Erich gets in the ring with him. 1 second. Some of these wrestlers, Bruiser Brody, someone portrayed Bruiser Brody. I wrote the names down, and I don't want to disrespect these the actors. Is they were casted to portray, and they said that Bruiser Brody didn't really talk that much. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. Kaze Lovis Saragino. I'm sorry to pronounce these names. He portrayed Bruiser Brody. There were names I looked up. Kevin Anton, Harley Race, very much look like Harley Race. Yeah. The casting, they look very much like them.
Yeah.
But the real portrayal, as Jim Cornette has said in this podcast, how do you portray something, the real person, when wrestlers themselves have created their own gimmick?
Yeah.
It was a funny portrayal when it was more funny than realistic. And when NBC did Young Rock and they had these actors portray these wrestlers, it was more funny than trying to be realistic. Yeah, it was more funny
because the Young Rock, they're trying to make it like a comedy show.
Yeah,
but I don't like that show. It's too confusing to me how they skip everything around. But yeah, I like the portrayal of the Fabulous Freebirds in the movie because that one guy looked like Terry Gordy.
Oh yeah,
looked just like Terry Gordy. And the other one looked a little bit like Michael Hayes, but the other one did not.
There also something else. They started the legendary Von Erich and Freebird feud is the Christmas 1992 steel cage match. That Michael Hayes was the referee, and he refereed the title match between Flair and Kerry in a steel cage match. And something happened that Flair was down, and Michael told Kerry to cover him. Kerry wouldn't do it because it was wrong, and Kerry was against the steel cage, and Michael. Remember how this happened, but I think Mike. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I wish I remember how this happened. This particular match that Kerry was that Michael. Kerry got pushed against. Maybe it was Flair, but got pushed against the steel cage in the doorway, and.
Did the door broke or
no? The door was open, and Kerry's head was head was at the door. Was at the cage entrance in the doorway. Terry Gordy then slams the cage door against Kerry's head. Boom! It ricocheted. It echoed throughout the whole arena. Now, what you could have done with that, they could have attempted to re-portray this. That I was thinking that Kerry they go back and face off with the Freebirds and yell at Terry Gordy, "What the hell was that about? Why should you do it so hard?" And the Freebirds, we shot on you to make it look more real.
Yeah,
there were so many missing things. They could have gone at least two hours. It was a bare bones biopic. They wanted to base on such a tragedy.
Could have been more matches.
The key moment that apparently did not occur. Yes, Kerry Von Erich committed suicide, shot himself in the heart somewhere on the Von Erich family ranch. Yeah. But it wasn't that Kevin discovered him, but it wasn't immediately. That and Kerry did say Kevin Von Erich said he did not get mad at his father. That you caused this, pushing us under being wrestlers. You pushed us. He said he found whether he heard the gunshot or not. But the reason why Kerry Von Erich committed suicide. Mike Von Erich, he was sick. He committed suicide. Chris was too small. Yes, this whole film was about there's such a tragic.
It's like a curse. It was.
They call it a curse. It was such a tragic situation. But the movies did a few major errors. Jim Cornette's podcast, he talked more. It says, yeah, the biggest error everybody would complain about is the difference of casting of Zac Efron as Kevin Von Erich and Jeremy Allen White as Kerry Von Erich. They had the wrong casting. Because Kevin Von Erich, even though he was kind of muscular, Kevin Von Erich was taller than Kerry. And Kevin Von Erich, who, if the actor had worked out, he worked out too much. He grew his muscles too much. He worked out too much. They looked far more like Kerry. And Kerry was apparently shorter, but not as muscular as Kevin. Everybody argues they casted Zach and Jeremy. They casted the wrong. They did it.
Switched them
around by mistake. The others were perfectly casted. The biggest argument everybody has is the casting of Kerry and Kevin. But it was such a short movie for so many things to happen. You can't get everything. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think you can get it. It would be a short bit. But you could have gotten almost every major moment.
Maybe, because there's still got a lot of,
there were so major moments.
If you read up on it, it's so to me it's so big. Who knows? It could have been a 2.5 hour movie.
But again, the only old school wrestling fans would have known what this movie was about, who it was about. Nobody in the past 20 years would have known this is the Von Erich. And they would have picked up Kerry Von Erich in the WWF time, but nobody else. And the trailer was released to the internet, not network television. And it's amazing this movie made on $15 million budget, $45 million. It made $45 million. I had just researched this, and you would think it made more because nobody knew. Nobody knew.
Well,
what this movie is about of our era of the 21st century. What this movie was about, only we would have known.
They could have had a different name too, because
I was thinking that also.
The Iron Claw, you would think of something else right away.
It's their family trademark, the hand claw by their Fritz.
I know that's Iron Claw.
And the Von Erich name, they also could have brought that up. That he was originally a villain in the 50s or 60s. He was a villain. It was a German Nazi-based name. The Von Erich was a German-based name. He had a cape attempting to portray a Nazi. It didn't turn out to be much. He was actually AWA World Champion in the very golden early years of the American Wrestling Association. He wasn't AWA Champion, but the NWA World Title was far more the importance. And that was the focus of the movie, that Fritz pushed his boys into wrestling. I want that belt on one of my sons. And that was the whole summary of the film. And you wonder why these boys, they did not want to become wrestlers. David, without a doubt. But he died too quickly. As someone at work would tell me, life's too short. No doubt about David Von Erich.
Yeah.
And he was no doubt. There's a seesaw argument. Was he being groomed or wasn't he? Some do say he was. Some do say he wasn't. He said he definitely. Oh my! If David Von Erich had lived to win the world title, I think McMahon would have. The Von Erichs would have gone nation and worldwide.
Yeah.
If David Von Erich, Vince. Signed Kerry in 1990, and I saw him in the Philadelphia Spectrum SummerSlam 90. I had already heard about the Von Erich family because I was old school. I read magazines. I watched the videotapes. But today, all people know is WWE. And they would not know about the Von Erichs were put into the Hall of Fame. But all they know is what WWE portrays on television.
That was in 2009. It was put in the Hall of Fame, right?
I think so.
Yeah, 2009.
The film is such a bare bones, barely enough time. They should have had attempted to add more.
Yeah, that's a lot out.
Oh my God, what was left out?
And that's a lot out.
No, so out of my battery review, I was taught it was in my review I wrote it was a seesaw, but giving a 2 which needed improvement, needed a lot more content, or a 3 worth watching once.
Yeah.
You couldn't watch it again because
I can watch it again.
You can watch it again to review it.
Yeah, just to review it and then figure what they left out, what they should have put in there. That's the reason why I would watch it again. Content,
but to see it again, would you want to watch it again? No. It's too disturbing. It's sorrow. It's a tragic situation.
That's why I won't watch it again, because they left too much out.
Definitely.
They left too much out. I'd rather watch I think it's Beyond the Mat. I think it's called.
Yes.
And they talk about more stuff about them. I mean, they leave a lot of stuff out too, but you know.
So that's our me and Jose's initial bad review, our movie review, and we're gonna cover other wrestling movies very, very soon. So thank you for listening.